This video is for educational purposes. Bogotá, formerly known as Santa Fe de Bogotá during the Spanish colonial period and between 1991 and 2000, is the capital city of Colombia, and one of the largest cities in the world. The city is administered as the capital district, as well as the capital of, though not part of, the surrounding department of Candelaria. Bogotá is a territorial entity of the first order, with the same administrative status as the departments of Colombia. It is the main political, economic, administrative, industrial, cultural, airport, technological, scientific, healthcare and educational center of the country in northern South America. Kindly subscribe to this channel and share this video with your friends and families. Bogotá was founded as the capital of the new Kingdom of Granada on August 6, 1538 by Spanish conquistador Gonzalo Jiménez de Quesada after a harsh expedition into the Andes conquering the Muisca, the indigenous inhabitants of the Altiplano. Santa Fe, its name after 1540, became the seat of the government of the Spanish Royal Audiencia of the new Kingdom of Granada, created in 1550, and then after 1717 it was the capital of the Viceroyalty of New Granada. After the Battle of Boyaca on August 7, 1819, Bogotá became the capital of the independent nation of Gran Colombia. It was Simón Bolívar who rebaptized the city with the name of Bogotá, as a way of honoring the Muisca people and as an emancipation act towards the Spanish crown. Hence, since the Viceroyalty of New Granada's independence from the Spanish Empire and during the formation of present-day Colombia, Bogotá has remained the capital of this territory. The city is located in the center of Colombia, on a high plateau known as the Bogotá Savanna, part of the Altiplano Cundiboyacense located in the eastern cordillera of the Andes. Bogotá is the third highest capital in South America and in the world after Quito and La Paz, at an average of 2,640 meters, 8,660 feet, above sea level. Subdivided into 20 localities, Bogotá has an area of 1,587 square kilometers, 613 square miles, and a cool climate that is constant through the year. The city is home to central offices of the Executive Branch, Office of the President, the Legislative Branch, Congress of Colombia, and the Judicial Branch, Supreme Court of Justice, Constitutional Court, Council of State and the Superior Council of Judicature of the Colombian government. Bogotá stands out for its economic strength and associated financial maturity, its attractiveness to global companies and the quality of human capital. It is the financial and commercial heart of Colombia, with the most business activity of any city in the country. The capital hosts the main financial market in Colombia and the Andean Natural Region, and is the leading destination for new foreign direct investment projects coming into Latin America and Colombia. It has the highest nominal GDP in the country, responsible for almost a quarter of the nation's total, 24.7%. The city's airport, El Dorado International Airport, named after the mythical El Dorado, handles the largest cargo volume in Latin America, and is third in number of passengers. Bogotá is home to the largest number of universities and research centers in the country, and is an important cultural center, with many theaters, libraries and museums. Bogotá ranks 52nd on the Global Cities Index 2014, and is considered a global city type, Beta Plus, by GAWC. The name of Bogotá corresponds to the Spanish pronunciation of the Chibcha Bacata, or Muquita, which was the name of a neighboring settlement located between the modern towns of Funza and Cota. There are different opinions about the meaning of the word Muquita, the most accepted being that it means walling of the farmland in the Chibcha language. Another popular translation argues that it means the Lady of the Andes. Others suggest that Bacata was the name of the Muisca cacique who governed the land before the Spaniards arrived. Jiménez de Quesada gave the settlement the name of Our Lady of Hope, but the Spanish crown gave it the name of Santa Fe, Holy Faith, in 1540 when it was appointed as a city. The Muisca, the indigenous inhabitants of the region, called the place on which the city was founded Tibzaca, or Old Town. The area of modern Bogotá was first populated by groups of indigenous people who migrated south based on the relation with the other Chibcha languages. The Bogotá Savanna was the southernmost Chibcha-speaking group that exists from Nicaragua to the Andes in Colombia. The civilization built by the Muisca, who settled in the valleys and fertile highlands of and surrounding the Altiplano Cundiboyacense, modern-day departments of Cundinamarca and Boyaca and small parts of Santander, was one of the great civilizations in the Americas. The name Muisca Confederation has been given to a loose egalitarian society of various chiefs, caciques, who lived in small settlements of maximum 100 bohayos. The agriculture and salt-based society of the people was rich in goldworking, trade, and mummification. The religion of the Muisca consisted of various gods, mostly related to natural phenomena as the sun, Su, and his wife, the moon, Chia, rain Chibchikam, rainbow Kuchavira, and with building and feasting, Nenkatakoa, and wisdom, Bachika. Their complex lunisolar calendar, deciphered by Manuel Izquierdo based on work by Duquesne, followed 3 different sets of years, where the sidereal and synodic months were represented. Their astronomical knowledge is represented in one of the few extant landmarks of the architecture of the Muisca in El Infiernito outside Villa de Leyva to the north of Bogotá. The first populations inhabiting the present-day metropolitan area of Bogotá were hunter-gatherers in the late Pleistocene. Dating to around 12,500 BP, the oldest evidence of human activity was discovered in El Abra, north of Zipaquirá. Other excavations in a rock shelter southwest of the city in Socha provided ages of 11,000 BP, Tekendama. Since roughly 0 AD, the local Muisca people domesticated guinea pigs as a source of dietary meat. The people inhabiting the Bogotá savanna in the late 15th century were the Muisca, speaking Muiscuban, a member of the Chibcha language family. Muisca means people or person, making Muisca people, how they are called, a tautology. At the arrival of the Spanish conquistadores, the Muisca population was estimated to be 500,000 indigenous people on the Bogotá savanna, and up to 2 million in the Muisca Confederation. They occupied the highland and mild climate flanks between the Sumapaz Mountains to the southwest and Cocuy's snowy peak to the northeast, covering an approximate area of 25,000 square kilometers, 9,653 square miles, comprising Bogotá's high plain, a large portion of the modern-day department of Boyacá department portion and a small area in the Santander region. Trade was the most important activity of the Muisca with other Chibcha-speaking neighbors, such as the Guane, Lach and Yuwa, and with Caraban-speaking groups such as the Muso or Emerald people. Their knowledge of salt production from brines, a task devoted exclusively to Muisca women, gave them the name of salt people. Tropical fruits that did not grow on the cool highlands, as well as coca, cotton and gold were all traded at markets that took place every Muisca week, every 4 days. At these frequent markets, the Muisca obtained various luxury goods that appear worthless in a modern sense, as well as precious metals and gemstones that seem valuable to us and which became abundant and were used for various purposes. The Muisca warrior elite were allowed to wear feathered crowns, from parrots and macaws whose habitat was to the east of the Andes, the Arawakan-speaking Guayup, Tewa and Achagua. The Muisca cuisine consisted of a stable and varied diet of tubers, potatoes and fruits. Maize was the main ingredient of the Muisca, cultivated on elevated and irrigated terraces. Many words exist in Muiscuban for maize, corn and the various types and forms of it. The product was also the base for chicha, the alcoholic beverage of the people, still sold in central Bogotá today. It was the beverage used to celebrate the construction of houses, harvests and sowing, ritual practices around the various sacred sites of the Altiplano, music and dances, trade at special fairs with farther away trading indigenous groups of Colombia and to inaugurate the new highest regarded member of the community, Zipas, Zaks, Caciques and the religious ruler Iraca from sacred city of the sun Sugamuxi. From 1533, a belief persisted that the Rio Grande de la Magdalena was the trail to the South Sea, to Peru, legendary El Dorado. Such was the target of Gonzalo Jiménez de Quesada, the Granadanian conquistador who left Santa Marta on April 6, 1536 with 800 soldiers, heading towards the interior of current Colombia. The expedition divided into 2 groups, one under Quesada's command to move on land, and the other commanded by Diego de Urbino would go upriver in 4 brigantine ships to, later on, meet Quesada troops at the site named Torre de las Barrancas Bermejas. When they arrived, they heard news about Indians inhabiting the south and making large salt cakes used to trade for wild cotton and fish. Jiménez de Quesada decided to abandon the route to Peru and cross the mountain in search of salt villages. They saw crops, trails, white salt cakes and then huts where they found corn, yucca and beans. From Tora, the expedition went up the Opon River and found indigenous people wearing very finely painted cotton mantles. When they arrived in Muisca territories in the Andean Plateau, on March 9, 1537, of the expedition leaving Santa Marta, only 162 men were left. The Zipa at the moment of Spanish conquest was Tisquasusa. His main bohio was in a small village called Bacata with others in Funza and Cajica, giving name to the present-day capital of Colombia. Bacata was actually located near to the modern location of the city of Funza. A prophecy in his life came true, he would be dying, bathing in his own blood. defending Funza with a reduced army of Getcha warriors against the heavily exhausted but heavily armed strangers. His reign fell in the hands of Gonzalo Jiménez de Quesada and his younger brother Hernán Pérez on April 20, 1537. Upon his death, his brother Sajipa became the last Zipa, against the inheritance tradition of the Muisca. Sajipa used to be a main captain for Tisquasusa but quickly submitted to the Spanish rulers. The first encomenderos asked high prices in valuable products and agricultural production from the indigenous people. On top of that, epidemics of European viruses raised through the population, of which in current Boyaca 65 to 85% of the Muisca were killed within 100 years. Jiménez de Quesada decided to establish a military campament in the area in 1538, in the site today known as the Chorro de Quevedo Square. The foundation was performed by the construction of 12 houses of reed, referring to the 12 apostles, and the construction of a preliminary church, also of reed. With the celebration of the first Mass in the campament, celebrated by Dominican Friar Domingo de las Casas, the city was founded with the name of Nuestra Señora de la Esperanza, Our Lady of Hope, on August 6, 1538. Quesada placed his right foot on the bare earth and said simply, "I take possession of this land in the name of the most sovereign emperor, Charles V." Santa Fe de Bogotá in 1615 by the Inca painter Guaman Poma in his work, Nueva Crónica y Buen Gobierno. Royal Library, Denmark. This founding, however, was irregular as no town council was formed nor were town officials appointed, as well as lacking some other juridical requirements for an official founding. As a consequence, the official founding only occurred about 8 months later, on April 27, 1539, in a site close to one of the recreational lands of the Zipa, called Thusa or Thusaquillo. This official founding involved an official ceremony appointing a council and officials, and the demarcation of streets and lands, and in it fellow conquistadores Sebastián de Belalcázar and Nicolaus Federman were present. While this was the official date of founding, traditionally it is the August 6, 1538 that is considered the date of the actual foundation. The village obtained the title of city by way of a decree from Charles V on July 27, 1540, which changed the name of the city from Our Lady of Hope to Santa Fe, Holy Faith, after the name of a town nearby Granada where Jiménez de Quesada grew up. Jiménez de Quesada and conquerors de Belalcázar and Federman left for Spain in April 1539, founding Guataqui together on April 6, 1539. The rule over the newly created New Kingdom of Granada was left to Jiménez de Quesada's brother, Hernán Pérez de Quesada. The first mayors of the city were Captains Pedro de Arevalo y Geronimo de Inzar. The city obtained the title of Muy Noble y Muy Leal, very noble and loyal, on August 17, 1575 by a decree from Philip II. Bogotá, then called Santa Fe, later became the capital of the later Viceroyalty of New Granada. Following the independence from Spain, Bogotá became capital of Gran Colombia and later the capital of the Republic of Colombia. The city mayor and the chapter, formed by 2 councilmen, assisted by the constable and the police chief, governed the city. For better administration of these domains, in April 1550, the Audiencia of Santafe was organized. Santa Fe, or Santafe, became the seat of the government of the new Kingdom of Granada. 14 years later in 1564, the Spanish crown designated the first Royal Audiencia chairman, Andrés Díaz Venero de Leyva. The chapter and the Royal Audience were located on the other side of what is today the Plaza de Bolívar, then called Plaza Mayor or Major Square. The street connecting the Major Square and the Square of Herbs, now Santander Park, was named Calle Real, Royal Street, now Carrera Septima, or 7th Street, counted from the mountains to the east of the city. After 1717, Santafe became the capital of the Viceroyalty of New Granada. Formed by Europeans, mestizos, indigenous people, and slaves, from the second half of the 16th century, the population began to grow rapidly. The 1789 census recorded 18,161 inhabitants, and by 1819 the city population reached 30,000 inhabitants distributed in 195 blocks. Importance grew when the diocese was established. Political unease over the Spanish monarchy and the rights of citizens born in the Americas had been felt throughout the Spanish colonies in America, and it was expressed in New Granada in many different ways, accelerating the movement to independence. One of the most transcendent was the insurrection of the Comuneros, a riot by the locals that started in Villa del Socorro, current department of Santander, in March 1781. Thank you for watching this video. Kindly subscribe to this channel and share this video with your friends and families. See you in the next one.